Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about this this supposed scoop from Bleeding Cool that there are some former DC Comics people looking to get their money together and basically buy DC Comics and run it themselves.
You mean put their money where their mouth is?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting turn of events because we know that DC Comics, as a comic book publisher, does not mean a lot to WarnerMedia at this point.
No.
There have been a lot of layoffs. You know, several rounds of layoffs at DC Comics. They've been canceling books like crazy, and a lot of people are out of work. And it's interesting because where we want to go with this, we'll talk about the article, but where we want to go with this is, could other franchises be saved if some wealthy fans or former employees actually got together and somehow were able to wrangle it away from the corporate overlords?
They could, but good luck wrangling it away from the corporate overlords.
Yeah, I mean, it would almost have to get to a place where they're devalued enough that the company doesn't care if they sell them off.
I think a lot of the big ones, like the big franchise like Marvel, DC, you know, Star Wars, those kind of things, it's going to be more difficult because they want those for IP farms and things like that. They want those for the movies and stuff. So I think that could be a problem.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is an interesting concept, though. You know, in these Hollywood studios, you know, if they get more desperate, they might just start offloading some of their stuff.
Yeah, it's possible.
But not the good stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
So what we're gonna read this, we're gonna talk about it a little bit, and then maybe we can muse about some franchises I would love to buy if I had unlimited money.
Okay, you do that.
So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 176,000 subs.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you for the support. Not nearly enough subs to buy DC Comics, but you know,
It's nowhere near.
But there are some pretty rich people that worked at DC. You know, back in the day, you could make a ton of money working in comics.
Yeah, once upon a time, hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, but there are some people that are multimillionaires that did some time at DC. So I can see them. Not now.
Not this way. That's not true. Not doing it this way.
No, if you're working in the movie side of things, yeah, probably.
Or if you're doing your own stuff, it's possible.
Right.
But not the way it used to be.
So Rich Johnson says he got a scoop. He got a scoop. He said
sometimes it's scoops are ice cream and sometimes there's scoops of poop. It depends.
Well, sometimes he's right and sometimes rightish kind of sort of. We'll read this and we'll see if this is plausible or not. Bleeding Cool understands it was former DC President Diane Nelson's decision to move DC from Manhattan to Burbank.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep, and now they're just sitting there with empty buildings because of the shutdown. Bleeding Cool has heard repeated reports that DC Comics is planning to reduce serialized print publication. Mm-hmm. We know this is true. They're cutting back on monthly books for sure, and they're chasing graphic novels. They're chasing YA graphic novels.
Well, it says they're going to try to be doing more with digital, it said.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because do you remember back in the day when we did webcomics and they all mocked webcomic people and they're like, you know, that's kind of like amateur hour.
Yeah, they're not real comics.
People are always going to want print. They're not going to want digital. It's not real.
Yeah. So they were talking about licensing their comic book publications to other publishers, which we said probably would happen with Marvel too.
This is all we said.
Look at that. We've heard that Marvel, IDW. Wait a minute. Back this up a little bit. Actually, the person who was saying that DC was going to do this was Ethan Van Sciver, who Rich Johnson throws shade at constantly.
Right, and you were the one mentioning Marvel doing
the Marvel side of things. That makes no sense.
And you got a lot of shit for that too.
I got years ago.
You were just an idiot travel blogger who didn't know anything about comics.
Yeah, what do I know? We've heard that Marvel, IDW, and Dynamite have all approached DC. Why would Marvel approach them? But the prices cited were too high. But that was a price that Penguin Random House was willing to pay. It's all rumor and hearsay from prominent people, but sure, because I've also heard that it's all guns blazing at DC Comics right now. They've got Future State and Infinite Frontier. The line's smaller, fewer editorial. However...
Great, they need less editorial? The editorial they have don't get their stuff done.
Right. They're talking about their new diversity pushes. It's all positive. Mainstream press. However,
mainstream press, keywords.
Yeah, mainstream press. However, very good for comics may not be good for Warners, who have to put the space and expenses allocated to comic books against that allocated for TV, games, movies, and more in terms of profitability. Yeah.
Right, bottom line stuff.
Return on investment. You know, if you're going to pay a bunch of salaries and you know, house a bunch of people, you're going to pay people that are going to make things that are going to make you money.
Right.
And comic books generally
Imagine that. What an idea. What a concept. It's like business is business. Oh my God.
My God, Rich. We've literally been saying this for years. The comics are making money, but are they making enough money to justify the space and resources allocated to them? No.
And I would argue about making money sometimes, but that's another story.
So this is the rumor part. Last year, a number of high-rolling individuals were given tours of DC Comics Burbank with AT&T and Warner officials. As a result, there may be some new options because Bleeding Cool has been made aware of plans by big-time DC Comics fans with access to a lot of money, many millions from across many businesses.
Which means they're most likely, if they have lots of money access, they must be capitalists, which means they probably don't hang out on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
I mean, just making that assumption because,
A collaboration of some of the biggest cheeses who, with a combination of personal wealth and raised capital, are making an approach to AT&T not to buy DC Comics outright, not to touch the movies, the TV, the games, or the merchandise, but solely the rights and ownership of the comic book side of the publisher, to be able to create and publish DC Comics that they would like. Let Warner do the movies and TV show, but take all the cumbersome work of actually publishing comic books off their hands, while Warners are free to adapt if they wish. If you could be a member of this group, you probably have already been approached. Oh God, when people shit, wouldn't they shit if it was us? They would.
They would shit.
They would shit. People who can bring or can raise a minimum of 8 figures apiece. Well, people can just make a couple of phone calls and get that kind of money.
Yeah, right. Because I look under my couch.
Yeah, right. People have both an Action Comics #1 and a Detective Comics #27 to spare, and who really, really like DC Comics. The fans are taking over Arkham Asylum. How dare they?
If you have those comic books and you're a fan of those old school comic books, you probably would be doing comic books that Twitter wouldn't like.
That is true. We kind of saw this happen with CrossGen. There was a guy who started CrossGen Comics and he hired a bunch of DC and Marvel people to work for him. Now that turned out very badly. He was a huge comic book fan. He was a billionaire, and it didn't work out very well. A lot of people moved down to Florida to work with him, and it didn't work very well.
I remember that.
Yeah. They put out some good books though, and then Disney bought what was left of CrossGen, and I don't think they've done anything with it. But I mean, we've seen this happen before. But yeah, I mean, this would be kind of a coup if this happened. Now, could it? I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, we don't know which way that would be an improvement or not. I just think if people have that kind of money they're going to put on comics, they obviously care about comics and they want to restore it. It isn't just a platform, to get your scream from. But
yeah, this kind of happened with, I think it was Bruce Hamilton with Disney Comics. He started Gladstone Comics. He already had businesses and he really loved Disney Comics. He wanted to see Disney Comics make a comeback. So, he started, Gladstone Comics and kind of brought them back. And I mean, it's cool in a way, but like you said, can fans actually make something sustainable?
I don't know. I'm just saying, there's upsides and downsides.
Yeah.
I can see both sides of this one.
So now the question is, and this is, I mean, whether or not this is true, this might be true. I don't know. But the question is, would some of these IPs be better off in the hands of wealthy fans being able to manage them? Because at least they care. Mm-hmm. But then the flip side is some of these wealthy fans might not have I'm sure they have some business sense because they had to create wealth somehow, unless they're trust fund babies. Would they have the sense to be able to turn their passion, their fandom into a sustainable business?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to say, and I want to think that people with that kind of money, people who this is what they want to do, are probably people who don't like the direction things are going.
Yeah.
And they want to try to bring it back to what it was. Yeah. And I'm for that. But it's also possible it's people who just want to double down on more of the bullshit, but then that doesn't make as much sense. So I don't know, but I don't know. This is really weird. I personally, I can think of many IPs that if I had the ability to snatch them from the fire of wokeness, She-Ra, yeah. I mean, Rainbow Bright, they ruined that one with the comic.
The Rainbow Bright comic was atrocious. It was.
I hear that I was part of the reason they got pulled.
I did hear that too.
But it was bad.
And there may or may not have been phone calls about that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I would like to see some of these classic IPs kind of taken from their current current corporate overlords, because corporations, for the most part, do not care about them. Obviously, fans would love to snatch Star Wars away. They would love for George Lucas to come back. That's not going to happen. The only way I could see that happening is if these companies have completely devalued them. But then at that point, what's the purpose of even buying a completely devalued?
But they'll want to hold on to it just because it has name recognition.
Spite.
Yeah. Well, no, just because it has name recognition, they'll be completely fine with somebody else coming in and fixing it.
Yeah, and then we'll take it over again.
Yeah, and then they can run it to the ground again.
Yeah, and we've seen this happen before too, where it's like, oh, that's popular. We expect it to be popular. Okay, we're gonna take this back now. We're gonna do it our way, and we're gonna push you guys out. Then they kill it again. You know, and I don't know. I would like to see some 80s franchises brought back the right way.
Like what?
Well, we talked about Rainbow Bright. I would like to see, proper Thundercats again.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'd like to see continuation of Thundercats 2011.
That's what I was gonna say. They should continue that one.
That was awesome. I'd like to see, maybe some obscure stuff like Mighty Orbots again, or Silverhawks.
So you're talking shows, not comics.
I'm talking anything that, is sort of languishing right now that fans could come back, and if they could, I mean, hypothetically, if fans could come back and buy these things and save them, snatch them from the fire of wokeness, because if we don't do it, if fans don't do it, somebody else is going to come along and piss on it.
Yeah, that's true. But at this point, I'm kind of like, why can't we just make new things?
Well, I believe that we should. But I'm saying if the possibility would come up to be able to, try to save what we loved as much as we can, that's what they would say. Rose Tico, save what you love. Save what you love.
Oh, yeah, you can say what you love unless you're somebody they don't agree with.
Right.
How dare you?
I think that we should be able to do it. I don't know. This is interesting. We're gonna watch this because this could either be a complete rumor, or it could wind up being a very good thing, or just a complete disaster.
Like a rumor is.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up.
Yes.
Okay. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.